What's up, everyone, and welcome to Variant the Podcast, the first podcast of 2024.
Yes, we are back.
We are back.
I would say Happy New Year, but it's a little late for that.
Yeah.
But Happy New Year anyway.
Month is almost over.
Hope the beginning of your year is better than Arris's. All of you out there has been. Arris has had a little bit of a rough go at the beginning of the year.
I'm still in the middle of it.
Do you want to reveal why? Or at least some of it?
No, not yet.
Not yet.
I mean, one is bad. The other one's not. One bad in the sense, my dog is coming to the end of his life, unfortunately. I'm not going to get into it too much, but dealing with that sucks.
Yeah, that's one.
The other one's more positive, but we'll wait on that one.
It's a lot more positive. Yeah. But yeah, so it's been, we've got things underway here, 2024. And for the first show back, we're just going to go over everything that happened while we were away, because it is quite a list.
Yes.
Of different things, from everything starting with Rise of the Kokin, Astonishing Times returns.
What's that?
It's just a stupid little book. This random indie book. Yeah, no. Astonishing Times, you and Frank and Rory's book, the sequel, Rise of Kokin. What would you call it? A solo?
It's a
spin-off.
It's a spin-off. It's volume 2. It's a spin-off. So basically we're going back in time. So for anyone who's read the first volume, Astonishing Times, we introduced you to the AT universe with like Infinite, Gold Rush, Kokin, Noah, like a bunch of characters. Our take on the superhero genre. It's basically like a love letter, reverse Watchmen, if you will. And now we were like, hey, we want to continue to build out this universe, so we're gonna go back and do like 5-issue limiteds on some of the characters, starting with Kokin. So Kokin is the first one that, it's done. It's going to be out in the world very soon here. And we see how Kokin became the leader of the Kokin. Because as we've said with the first volume, Kokin isn't just like, Batman, Superman, just like a name, right? It's a mantle that one can be, it could be bestowed on someone, or you can take it. And we see how Aaron Hughes, aka Kokin, in the present, became the leader of the Kokin.
He took it.
Yeah, he took it. And it's really cool. There's love triangles, Tim. There's different.
No way.
There's different clans.
Is Freddie Prinze Jr. involved?
It's actually a pretty cool love triangle. I'm gonna.
So it does involve Freddie Prinze Jr.
But we introduced some different factions, some Kokin clans. Kokin's mentor. I don't want to give away too much because even in issue 1, I'll say that, even in issue 1, we don't even know names yet. Issue 2 and on is where things start to slowly unveil. We're just introduced to like, oh, what is this young Kokin doing? Oh, clearly there's this and that behind the scenes, and it's a pretty cool cliffhanger at the end of issue 1. But yeah, I'm very excited.
I can't tell. You look tired.
I am tired. I am definitely tired. The year's definitely been kicking my butt.
I can verify that. It's been a lot. But yeah, so it actually is very cool, and the book looks great. Rory has done another killer job on the art.
He's gotten better because he's done so much since then. Because AT's like what? Astonishing Times Volume 1 is 3 years old, almost 4.
It's all a blur, Arris.
Yeah, so he's done a lot of stuff since then. He's worked with Tom Taylor on Superman, the Superman run he did. He's done stuff for Marvel. I think he's currently one of his most current work as far as the big 2 is Captain Marvel. He just did some pages for Captain Marvel. He's like big time now.
Yeah, he really did take off right after Astonishing Times, which is great for the book. But also
DC. I mean, I like Batman. I'll take a crack at it. I actually do have a take. You know how everyone. It was funny. I was at one of the Comixology dinners was it New York Comic Con? Not this past in 2022, and I was there with like Scott Snyder was there because he's got stuff on a Comixology Originals as well, and there's just a lot of other creatives there, and they were all kind of talking about like everyone has their story that they don't even share with each other, because it's like, no, if I get Batman, if I get Superman, if I get the Turtles, this is the story I'm going to tell. So a lot of writers have like their stories that if like whatever reason they get to do Superman, that's going to be their first pitch. So I was like, oh, me being like the fresh meat, I'm like, I need to think of one that's like, if I have no, for real, like if the opportunity just, ever arose for this character, that character is like, what would you say? So I kind of thought of a few ideas, and I got one for Batman specifically. And I like BTAS. There's something that's never been done or brought in to the actual main continuities with Batman the Animated Series.
Bruce Wayne starts a Broadway show.
Yeah.
He gathers all of his biggest villains.
That I would love to do. And I can't believe no one's done it yet. Recently, someone brought in the Phantasm, which was one of my ideas. Tom King actually did it. But there's another aspect of the show that still hasn't been done in main continuity. I'm like, yes, just no one yet. Don't do it. Don't do it.
Maybe one day.
Yeah, for the small chance that they'll offer me that.
One day. But tomorrow, January 23rd, Rise of the Kokin issue 1 hits Comixology.
Yes.
It is digital first, and then it'll be collected together. It's a 5-issue run once again. So it'll come out once a month for the next 5 months, starting tomorrow, January 23rd.
Yeah, and we're gonna reveal some exclusives here pretty soon too.
Yeah.
So maybe like, I don't know, some cool covers, because we got everything's done. All the art's done.
It's amazing.
So there's lots of stuff to unveil that we can just put out there. The colors are really cool this time as well too. The color palette we chose, because it's not Astonishing Times like main book where like I guess the at this point Astonishing Times would be like our Justice League book where all the characters meet. So since this is a solo series, just Kokin, we had to establish our own look and feel for what his book would be. So that's going to change. You know, if let's say we do Gold Rush next or Infinite or whoever else we do, every book will have its own feel. And I really like what we came up with for Kokin.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's very 80s inspired.
You guys make sure to go check it out, Comixology.com or Amazon.
Yes.
Either one. It's actually, they're switching that over to where it's going to be on Kindle largely.
Pretty much that's where it's going. It seems like.
Yeah, I mean, it's already kind of there. So
yeah, they started this last year where Amazon is just more and more absorbing Comixology, where it's still there, but it's just like more integrated into like Amazon proper, if that makes sense.
Yeah. This is amongst what will probably be one of the last Comixology originals.
This could very well be the last year for their originals. That's not set in stone. This is just guessing. But yeah, it could be.
It could be amongst the last batch.
It could be, yeah.
We'll see how that plays out. But anyway, issue 1, Rise of the Kokin. Make sure you guys go and grab that, check it out. And then we're going to be doing a bunch of coverage on it here on the show. We're working on putting together exactly what we're going to do, but we're going to bring you guys like a teaser of the overall series. So keep an eye out for that in the next couple of weeks.
It's a little bit of a bummer that I've been distracted with other stuff. So it's like coming back to this. I'm like, all right, no, but it's coming in the world. So once it hits and people start reading it, that's when I'll be like, oh, what if they hate it?
And I gotta say, like getting around like the way, and I know you feel the same way, the way the comic industry works in general, like the way they choose release dates, the way that they market, like all of that stuff. Look, I'm not going to speak for Arris. I'm going to speak for me. It is so outdated, and it is not very organized, and that needs to improve.
Yeah, there's definitely some things I would have preferred to go differently. That's behind the scenes stuff.
Yeah.
But
and you don't have to get into any of that because you're dealing with all that on the business side. But like for me, I've learned some things that need improving, and it's been interesting.
Well, the cool thing is the story itself is the exact story we wanted to tell. We had no interference as far as creatively. So the story you read is exactly what we were our own editors. So all three of us had to, be in an accord for you guys to see it. So I'm very excited to see what everyone thinks.
Anytime someone says in accord, I just instantly think of Pirates of the Caribbean.
Yes.
Do we have an accord?
Yeah.
I don't know. That's where it goes.
Keira Knightley, whatever happened to her?
I think she's still alive.
Yeah, I hope she's still alive.
I mean, I haven't heard of her demise.
But with the Pirates movie, she was like the crush of so many boys.
Yeah. she was very popular. Yeah. I actually haven't seen her in anything.
That's what I'm saying. She was like A-list for a good minute there.
She was working a lot. I wonder if she
I know she had kids.
I was about to say, I wonder if she started a family or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that would make sense. But other than that, let's move on to DC. I guess we can start, we'll kind of go systematically down the run. We're just going to run through anything because everything is kind of, a lot of this stuff is like old news. So we're
recapping.
Yeah, we're just going to touch on things. We're not really going to get in depth unless it's something that's just happened. Like for instance, later in a little bit, we'll get into the just released Bad Batch Season 3 trailer.
The final trailer.
Yeah, the final season.
Yes.
Yeah, so we'll get into that when we get to all the Star Wars stuff. But let's start with DC. For me,
it's over.
Ding dong, the witch is dead. DCEU is finally gone.
Goodbye, Zack Snyder.
Well, at least his work.
Yeah, well, you know what I mean. His DC.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. The rumors started.
It's not goodbye Zack Snyder because he's got Rebel Moon.
Yeah, but the rumors are even starting that, they might be trying to lobby for Netflix to license out his SnyderVerse to go on Netflix. I don't know if James is going to let that happen. I hope not. I've seen mixed reaction. We're like, no, that'd be awesome. I'm like, no, I don't want two things at the same time. No, just let it. I think that would be a bad decision.
I think it would be a terrible decision.
I think all eyes need to be on the one thing and not constantly being reminded of the past. Because then you're going to do the thing with the Snyder Cut, right? As cool as it was to see the Snyder Cut, then you have the backlash of well, then why didn't you keep doing it? See how good it was? Right. You should have kept doing it. And then you're just going to have the fandom split. I think just end it and let the new one be.
And also, I just can't stop thinking, how long is this going to go on? The whole SnyderVerse thing.
His fandom, his diehard, because I'm a Snyder fan.
Wild.
I like Snyder. I'm not a complete hater on Snyder. I think
it's not about that.
Yeah, I think he made a lot of questionable, not great choices for the universe of
Without
DC.
Question, yeah.
But I'm a fan of his filmmaking in general, right? He's got a lot of 300, Dawn of the Dead, Watchmen.
He's so
Man of Steel,
he's okay.
Yeah, I think you like him a little less than I do.
Yeah, he's if you were to say to me, who are some of the greatest directors, he would not be on my list.
He's what the fascinating.
I think he's overrated.
The fascinating thing about him, though, is he's made such a name for himself, though, right?
Yeah, well,
because he's almost everyone knows Zack Snyder, whether you like him or not, you know the name.
Because stylistically, stylistically, he is very unique.
Oh, it's great.
He's put his thumb on the action adventure genre pretty heavily.
Christopher Nolan speaks so highly of him.
I saw that.
He speaks very highly of him. He says he's one of the best filmmakers of our generation.
I disagree.
With Christopher Nolan?
I disagree with Christopher Nolan. I think Christopher Nolan is probably the greatest filmmaker of our generation.
Oh, would you say? Wow.
Yeah, Chris Nolan would probably be.
Over Abrams? I mean, yeah, he's over.
I mean, the guy is, if you've seen Oppenheimer, just brilliant.
I still have not seen that movie. Dude. I need to really watch that movie.
The stuff that it's because he writes his own stuff. And then.
Well, him and his brother, right?
Yeah, but he spearheads the stories and stuff. But yeah, him and his brother write together, and he'll write with different people. But he wrote with Goyer for the Dark Knight trilogy. He's he's a writer director, and what he's able to do, he's had a couple of movies that were not my favorite.
Christopher Reeves,
Superman.
Oh my God, not Christopher Reeves. Matt Reeves from the Batman, or even
Matt Reeves is good.
Or even who's the director of Mission Impossible with Tom Cruise?
Oh, Christopher McQuarrie.
Yeah. He's fantastic as well.
He's awesome. But that's, he's like a great action director. I would just say Christopher McQuarrie is a great storyteller because he was a writer first. He's a great writer and director. But Chris Nolan, the stuff, first of all, it's the spread. This is really going off the rails, but the spread of different types of films that he's made.
He does do a lot of different things.
And the way he's able to tell a story. And again, I would go back to Oppenheimer. You were at different times. You were in black and white and in color, and you had all these different things happening simultaneously. You never felt lost. And he took a 3-hour biopic on the guy who created the atom bomb, and he made it $1 billion film. You know what I mean?
Did it hit $1 billion? I thought it was just under.
Yeah, $1 billion.
Oh, wow.
So it's and that's not, and it's R-rated on top of that.
But he also made Interstellar.
A lot of people like Interstellar.
They do. A lot of people.
I am not the biggest fan. That's not my favorite of his work. But name me a filmmaker who has any serious roster of work.
Yeah.
And you don't have one or two on there where you're
Steven
that's
Spielberg.
Not his best work. Dude, have you ever seen his 1942?
His newer stuff is but he's older now. He's old. He's not
Warhorse. Anyone?
Again,
I could name quite a few Spielberg movies at this time.
Years.
At this point,
Steven Spielberg stopped around early 2000s. Yeah.
Spielberg is, I think, the greatest director of all time.
I think that unanimously people.
I think many people would agree with that. But Christopher Nolan, I think, if he's not the greatest director of our generation, he's in the top 2 or 3.
I don't know. I agree he's a good director, but I also feel like he's overrated for whatever reason.
Oh man, you're saying something right now.
I mean, because
Zack Snyder, overrated.
Zack Snyder, yeah.
I know I'm gonna get a lot of hate for that. Sorry. But getting back to DC, I saw Aquaman. You did not see Aquaman.
I did not, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Or maybe fortunately.
Yeah, maybe fortunately.
I did want to see it, just the way things went. I couldn't get to the theater.
It had a 22% critic score on Rotten Tomatoes, a 70 on the audience.
Mm-hmm.
I was definitely on the negative side. I thought it was terrible.
Did you like the first one?
Yeah, I thought it had its moments. Overall, no.
Did you think this was worse than the first one?
Oh.
Okay.
So much worse.
So luckily it hasn't
the first one.
Luckily it hasn't been spoiled for me, even though I'm sure there's not much to be spoiled since it's the end of an era. But what would you say, the VFX were worse or on par with the first one?
Oh, the visual effects were not as good as the first one.
Really?
Yeah, they were not as good as the first one. But it also depends on the moment. There were some moments that the visual effects were kind of cool.
You know what I don't care? What I do want to know, because I heard that Warner Brothers and DC were kind of like misleading fans with how Mira wasn't in it a lot, but that people were saying she wasn't in a good amount. Mm-hmm. Was she in it a lot?
She was definitely in it a good amount.
I
wouldn't say a lot. She was not a focal point of the film, but she was in it a lot.
Was she pooping on Aquaman's bed?
She was in it a good deal. I said she's not in it a lot, but she was in it a lot.
Was she pooping on Aquaman's bed?
She did not.
She didn't.
That would have made the movie more interesting. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
You just pop a squat on a pillow.
Take this.
Take that, Black Mana. I said mana.
And not Manta. Yeah.
Manta. Sorry. There's a T in there. Anyway, point is, the movie's not good.
I mean, no one really
no one's shocked.
But it made
no
more
one
money.
saw it either.
It made more money than the Marvels.
Yes. It made, I wrote it down. It made 114 million domestic, 282 international, 396 worldwide.
Yep.
Which, I think they're almost going to break even, or should roughly break even worldwide. Maybe. I don't know.
I know the Marvels made.
It's going to be close.
I think 204 million worldwide.
Yeah, it was bad.
So
really bad.
That was the biggest superhero flop of
the year.
So
congratulations to Marvel Studios is what we're saying on being the biggest flop of 2023. But yeah, I was, I watched the movie. We a group of us went, and I was like, cool, glad this is over.
Yeah,
it was not good.
I think it'll be on Max probably in February, so not too long from here.
Yeah,
I don't think it's in theater still, is it?
I know that there's no, I don't think so.
Yeah,
and I know that there was people that definitely liked it. It's like every movie.
I heard no one talk about it bad or good. It just kind of like it never happened.
I heard a few people talking about it in a positive way, saying they enjoyed it or whatever. But the most of what I heard was it was a train wreck, which for me it was. I just found it to be.
I mean, it's
terrible.
not really shocking. It's considering like it didn't matter.
And I was trying to be nice because some of the people that I went and saw it with, some of the guys were like, "It was fun," and I was like, I was trying to be considerate of everybody. It's like, if you like it, it's cool, it's whatever. But for me, it was not. It wasn't good.
Yeah, but I think it would have been worse if it was good, because it'd be like, oh, it's awesome, and now it's over. Like, it's almost better for it not to be good because you're not missing out on any potential things.
I suppose.
Because that was one of the things that sucked with the Snyder Cut. We're like, oh, this is pretty cool. Like, I would have liked to see where this continued, especially with that massive cliffhanger. And then no.
Yeah. Well, the one thing for sure about this is that when it ended, Warner Brothers just did like a whew, because they got some money out of this one. Because Blue Beetle was like a catastrophe. The Flash was a catastrophe.
Blue Beetle is the one that I feel the most bad for, because that was actually a fun movie.
Yeah.
Blue Beetle and Guardians 3 were easily the two best comic book movies of 2023.
Oh, yeah. Guardians 3, I think, was for me
because you have
a good deal.
You got Quantumania, you got the Marvels, Guardians 3, Blue Beetle, Flash, Aquaman, and Shazam, Fury of the Gods.
Yeah. We didn't have a good. It wasn't a good go. It was not a good roster in 2023. Yeah, I think definitely it was Guardians 3, and then a step down. It was Blue Beetle, and then a big, multiple steps down, and then everything else. Pretty much for me, it was not a good year for superhero films at all.
No, hence the basically no superhero films 2024.
Yeah,
we get a handful.
Yeah.
If that.
And speaking of Zack Snyder being overrated and things not being good, Rebel Moon, Arris.
Oh, I loved it. You didn't like it?
Oh, I didn't watch it.
Oh.
Yeah, you loved it, right?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I liked it when I saw
Can't wait for the sequel.
In 1977, Star Wars, New Hope.
So I haven't watched it. I was going to. because I was like, I was kind of curious to see what Zack Snyder's Star Wars concept might have been. And then I have heard nothing but this movie getting ripped to shreds.
Well, I mean, the VFX are not great. The story and characters are like not great. It's not fleshed. I mean, it's unfortunately not the best all the way around. And it's clearly like just his version of Star Wars. So much so there's like a bar cantina scene and you meet like his version of Han Solo, who has a starship that can get them where they need to go. Like beat for beat, like New Hope at times. You have like his version of the Empire and stuff like that, and his like, I guess, Vader of sorts. It's pretty shameless. It's pretty crazy.
Is it good at all?
No. I mean, it's like anything. Like he's got like the spider. There's some cool creatures and concepts and stuff that's like visually is kind of cool. But even like overall, like there's nothing really redeeming. Like even with saying that, it's like, yeah, but still no. It's hard. It's really hard to give this movie a pass because it's overwhelmingly not good that even the stuff you're like, oh, that's kind of cool. It doesn't matter at that point.
I feel like I have to watch this.
You should.
Just to see if it's this bad. Because I have heard, I mean, some people that I know said they couldn't even get through it. They started skimming because they were like, they were shocked at how bad it actually was.
Because you just don't care about any of the characters, which is the most like none of them.
But
None
Netflix
of them.
spent so much money. And there's a sequel coming in March.
Yeah, it's already shot and there was apparently spinoffs. But at the same time, it was like one of their most watched films last year. So it's made them a bunch of money too.
Capitalizing on that Zack Snyder
that's what I'm saying.
crowd,
It's
man.
that Snyder effect. Whether you love him or hate him, people are still watching. It's crazy.
Man, it's so interesting. Are you going to watch part 2?
Yeah.
You're locked in?
Yeah.
You just have to. It's like watching a train wreck.
Yeah, I need, because it's just, but that's the thing that's weird with this Rebel Moon thing. That's what it's like, as much as it's not good, people are still, myself included, we're still going to watch the next one. So it's like, what is he doing that's making me go back like a moth to a flame? I don't understand.
I can't turn away.
It's because I have to know now. Because
that's how you fly into the zapper and get destroyed, you know?
Because Anthony Hopkins is voicing like their version of like C-3PO. And he was established in this movie, but barely in it. And apparently he's going to be a big part going forward. And it's Anthony freaking Hopkins.
Wow.
Yeah, Odin himself.
That poor guy. Anthony Hopkins is one of my favorite actors of all time.
Yeah.
And he is so phoning it in here at the end of his career.
He's old.
He's just like,
he's old.
I don't care. I'll do anything.
Hello, Clarice.
That's a terrible Anthony Hopkins impression. Mine, not yours. Yours is great.
Yeah, mine was flawless. Hello, Clarice. How are you?
All right, so maybe you're definitely locked in for part 2.
Yeah.
I'm eventually going to watch it. I'm gonna have a day where it's just like, today I'm gonna hurt myself. I'm gonna watch it.
You know what it is? Because he's appealing to like, because obviously I'm a massive nerd and I love sci-fi. So it's like you put shiny things in front of me. I'm like, well, maybe there'll be some cool stuff in there. And the thing is, it's just become a phenomenon too. It's like, everyone's going to watch and they'll be like, did you watch Rebel Moon? For like better or worse, people are going to be talking about it and I need to be in the know one way or another. So it's just like, yeah, I'm going to watch it.
Not this guy. Once I start hearing that something is that much, I'm like, I ain't got time for that. Ain't nobody got time.
I wonder if it's going to fall into the camp though, where like, it's just become one of those things where people just, it's fun to hate on it.
Oh, I hate that though.
It's kind of like,
that's the worst. Because there are people like, okay,
I've seen reviewers that got invited to interview Zack Snyder and stuff. Right. So they had to watch the film and then it came out. And like they literally have interviews like chatting with Zack Snyder like 4 days prior, and now it's time for them to review it. And you can see they're like, The visuals were cool, you know, like, and they're just, you could tell, like, doing this myself, like, you just know the face of, like, trying to pull out all the positives.
The mental gymnastics.
Because you can't, like, just completely bash this film when Netflix just invited you to their after party and you interviewed the freaking creator, but you also don't want to lie. So there's this weird balancing act of, like, I can't trash it, but I also can't say it's good. So you have to be like,
jeez, become a verbal contortionist. Yeah. Well, you know, so one day when I am feeling like I want to punish myself, I'll watch it, and before the second part comes out. So one day, and I'm a Miami Dolphin fan, so clearly I'm a glutton for punishment.
I thought that we're doing good this season.
I don't want to talk about it.
Oh, they fell off?
I don't want to talk about it. I'm going to talk about it.
Everyone was like, oh, they're doing so good.
They're
out the gate.
It was. And then it was another Dolphins collapse at the end of the year, and they proved all of the haters right who were saying, like, they can't beat a good team, and they couldn't. They could not. They collapsed at the end of the year, and it was an utter debacle that you could see coming right after they lost to the Tennessee Titans in the most bizarre way. And then I was just like, oh yeah, this is about to go
this year. So
you're not watching any of the playoffs?
I'm not. And that's what I was going to ask you. So how are the Giants doing? Are they in the playoffs?
No, the Giants didn't even make the playoffs.
What about the Jets?
No.
Oh, man. So
Aaron Rodgers, they got Aaron Rodgers, and everybody had super high hopes for them, the Jets, going into the season. And then Aaron Rodgers blew his Achilles out in the first 3 plays of the first game.
But he was like, said he's going to come back. He was determined.
Their season was long gone by the time they got to, halfway through the season.
So who does it look like will be in the playoffs?
Well, yesterday
the Super Bowl
last night was the big game everybody was waiting for, was just Bills, Kansas City. And
the Chiefs.
Yeah.
The Chiefs.
And it was in Buffalo this time. So everybody was like, oh, the Buffaloes. No, Kansas City won the game. It was very annoying. I very much was rooting for the Bills, even though the Bills technically are the ones.
We're not in the final round.
The Dolphins did it to themselves. I can't even blame them.
This isn't final round of playoffs, right?
No, that was the divisional round.
Okay.
Next weekend is the AFC and NFC championship.
See who goes to the Super Bowl. Yeah.
Now it's Baltimore and Kansas City on the AFC side, and then it will be the 49ers and the Lions, actually. The Detroit Lions, man.
It's probably going to be the 49ers.
This is like the first time in, I think, since the early 90s that the Detroit Lions have made it to the NFC championship game. So I'm actually... I think I'm going to be pulling for them.
Like the 49ers, you're always there.
Yeah. Well, I've always liked the 49ers since I was a kid, but I don't know. I love the underdogs. I love the underdog story.
Yeah.
So I'm going to be rooting for Baltimore Ravens on the AFC side.
Baltimore Ravens were there recently too, weren't they?
A few years ago.
I feel like the Baltimore Ravens are always like,
I remember when the last time
in the end.
The Ravens are always competitive because they have very good coaching staff.
Yeah.
But Lamar Jackson, that guy is amazing. That guy is insane. He is so good. But I'm also I'm all set with the Chiefs. So I'm rooting Ravens and Lions Super Bowl.
I always just think of the Dane Cook joke from like the early 2000s. He's like, on paper, like chef and chief, they look the same. It's like, so I don't know if I'm spelling chief or chef.
They made a commercial out of that.
But anyway, let's move on to Disney and Marvel, Tim.
There's quite a bit there. So starting with Marvel, Ultimate Spider-Man has been hitting like crazy on the comic side. It's probably the biggest thing you can mention.
I'm calling it now. It is beginning of the year. We're only in the first month of the year, but I think Ultimate Spider-Man is going to be the biggest title of the year. I think it's going to be the one. Because, I mean, everyone loved the Ultimate Universe and the original Ultimate Spider-Man, and now Hickman is back kind of just rebooting it, giving us a new version of Ultimate Spider-Man, which is resonating so well with fans like myself. I'm going to spoil it if you haven't read Ultimate Spider-Man issue 1. So this is your warning. So one of the coolest things he's doing and why I think it's resonating with fans so much is because he's finally doing with Peter Parker Spider-Man what fans have wanted Marvel to do with Peter Parker Spider-Man for years. Like I remember working in Boca Raton, and the One More Day storyline came out. I remember I was on my lunch break in my little office, and I had the comic books. I ran to the comic book store during my lunch break, and it was the issue where Mephisto basically erased Peter Parker and MJ's marriage. Right. I was like, what?
Kind of reset the whole thing.
Yeah, reset. I like visually remember where I was and like the office and stuff like that. I'm like, no freaking way. And all fans were like, yeah, it's like it took so long to get to that point. And Peter Parker, it's like kind of the joke with him, right? Where in comic books, He never gets like the girl. Like
Right.
he's always got death and tragedy.
They never really grow him up.
Yeah, never really grow. And it's kind of like get it, but like they finally got to that point. He was married and like, oh, now let's give some win and probably harp on some other stuff. And then they just took it away.
Yeah,
and it never really went back since then. And that was like early 2000s, like around 2000 what?
a long time ago now.
2008. Well, it was right around when like Iron Man came out, so around 2007, 2008.
Almost 20 years ago, dude.
Yeah, it's crazy. So it's never really fully been back to that proper. And even in the ASM, the Amazing Spider-Man run, before this Ultimate Spider-Man run, you see Mary Jane like married someone else, like a guy named Paul, and had like kids with him. So like Peter never got MJ back.
Right.
And it's been a real bummer. So with this story, we see in this new Ultimate take of Peter Parker, he's older, he's married to MJ. They got 2 kids. Uncle Ben is alive.
Yeah.
And
Aunt May is dead.
They flipped it. And it's just really, really cool to see. And the big twist is
he's got a beard.
He does have a beard. So besides that, those are huge reveals, things we wanted. So besides him being married, having 2 kids, happily married too, and Uncle Ben being alive, which are all huge moments while reading it, you're like, oh my God, like you're really establishing like a whole brand new take on the character.
Right.
He has no powers. We find out like the way Hickman did it was very smart, where you don't know like what's wrong. Like, has he not been Spider-Man in years? Did he retire? And then throughout the dialogue, you see it alludes to like maybe he's having a hard time with MJ. Like, does he want a divorce? He even talks with Uncle Ben about it. Like, hey, I'm having these issues, blah, blah, blah. And it just very much leads you to believe that he wants to split up with MJ. But we find out that's not it at all. Like, they're actually really, really good. The thing is that Tony Stark from the future left him a message being like, hey, so you were supposed to be like one of the world's most prominent superheroes, but like, the Maker and some supervillains did some stuff with the timelines, took your powers away along with several other heroes. So this is the life you could have had if you let this radioactive spider that I got for you bite you. You will be Spider-Man and basically have the life you could have had if it wasn't for the Maker intervening. And it was like really, really cool. And we see it's like that with all the heroes, with Black Panther and everything. So all these heroes in this new Ultimate Universe had their powers taken from them and now are living completely different lives that they weren't supposed to live, and they were unaware of. Like, they never knew they were supposed to be superheroes. Peter in the book even says, I felt like I was missing something. That's because his life was taken away. And it's just sets up for a really cool universe now. So as the X-Men title rolls out, we're going to see how that, unfolds. Black Panther's coming out soon, Iron Man, so on and so forth. So I cannot wait to see where this Ultimate Universe goes. But it's a really great start, and Peter is happy. So now he's going to be married with kids and have his spider powers.
He's gonna be married with kids. Did you read the first book they put out, the Ultimate Universe?
Yes, it kind of
number one.
It kind of established.
Was it October?
No, was it that early? It was the end of the year.
That's what I was about to.
It was the last
pull
quarter.
up.
It was like November, December. But yeah, it kind of establishes. If you read that one, it gives you more insight to Ultimate Spider-Man, where you see what was going on with Tony Stark and how he got like shunned and tried to save himself. Because another big thing to that is, in the middle of the issue, you found out Aunt May died via a terrorist attack by Tony Stark. But at the end, it's revealed, because you're like, oh my God, what? Tony Stark is like a killer? He's a terrorist attack? He did a terrorist attack. You found out at the end he was framed by the Maker. And that's what the truth is and stuff like that. So it's really, really cool. And they touch on that.
And it's the Maker who is kind of disrupting all of this.
Him and his council, yeah. So, which is a future version of Reed Richards, if you guys were unaware, the Maker. So
also introduced by Hickman.
Yeah, so an evil version of the Maker is going to be the big bad for this first arc of the Ultimate Universe. I'm curious to see how long it goes, because the original Marvel Ultimate Universe went on for a good while. Eventually led to the creation of Miles Morales, Spider-Man, one of the most popular characters in all of comic books now. So I'm very curious to see how far it goes. But if this is any like indication, this first issue, it's going to be probably some of the hottest books coming out this year in comics.
I believe there's only 3, right? It's Spider-Man, Black Panther, and X-Men.
As of now,
that are slated.
Yeah, they're
this year so far.
They're gonna build it out for sure, though.
Yeah, I mean, I imagine so. They went a little bit further in the Ultimate Universe #1, where they hinted that this could go further than that. Maybe they're just waiting to see what the fan response was to it. I don't know, but I do think. Hickman's a great writer. He's a great storyteller,
He
and he
is.
does a really good job with big picture stuff, like big picture revisions and things like that. So after what he did with the X-Men, with the House of X, Powers of X, and kind of rebooting that whole and adding new rules to their world and all kind of exploding or taking off the Krakoan age and then everything that happens. And I think that went a little bit off the rails a little bit. Off the rails isn't the right way to say it. I think it went on too far or went on too long and kind of went too far with some of the, you've mentioned it before, just kind of starts feeling like homework after a certain while.
Yeah.
Because the X-Men universe is so big. And if you just keep adding all these different rules and changes and all this kind of stuff, it gets a little bit.
It's like you're reading an encyclopedia or something. Yeah.
It gets kind of confusing and convoluted. And there's just so many, they've done so many books that it's like, where would you even begin to follow this story if you wanted to go back? And so it gets a little bit difficult. But you know, what he set out to do, even introducing the concept of the Maker and how now he's expanding on that with this Ultimate Universe, I think is a really cool concept. And we actually did an entire episode on that first issue of Spider-Man. It's up on the channel, the Variant channel now. So if you guys want to watch that, it breaks down the entire first issue of Ultimate Spider-Man #1 and everything that Arris was just detailing. So I agree. I think that's probably going to be the biggest comic of the year. And that series too. I'm curious to see what they do with the Black Panther one because it sounds really good as well.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's again, I think everyone's gonna. It might outsell the Amazing Spider-Man book just because he's giving us what we've wanted in the Amazing Spider-Man book. So I think that alone. I mean, the normal cover for that book, it's actually like $40-50 right now. Just if you have a first print, and that's not even a variant cover. So if you got like a 1 in 100 or something like that, you're probably get stupid bucks on eBay or something.
It's awesome.
Yeah,
that's awesome. Well. Moving on to movies, we had a couple things. For starters, one, we got the first look through a leaked promo of Wolverine.
Mm-hmm.
So we got to see what that might look like, and Hugh Jackman with the cowl on, because we all have seen by now him wearing the yellow suit from all the leaked images and stuff like that. But this was leaked promo art with him wearing the cowl. And it looks cool, and he's got the white eyes and everything like that. So there's speculation that we're probably going to get our first teaser trailer during the Super Bowl on February 11th.
Which would make sense.
Yeah, makes a lot of sense.
Makes all the sense in the world.
So I'm hoping we do.
Yeah, I mean the movie comes out in July.
Yeah,
so it's like we need to get something pretty soon here.
It's pretty wild. This type of a movie though, especially what is probably going to be in it, you can kind of understand why they haven't put out a trailer or a teaser yet. Because there's probably so many things. They're probably trying to figure out, like, what can we put in this thing?
Yeah, I mean, so much stuff is leaked already, though.
Yeah.
Like, so I'm very curious to see what the big surprises are going to be.
I don't know. I just hope it's good. And they're allowed to make the movie they want to make.
All I know is this is the movie. This is probably, outside of actual comic books, as far as, like, you know, comic book adaptations go, this is the thing I'm most excited for this year. So, like, I hope my expectations aren't too high, but I am just seeing Ryan Reynolds and Hugh Jackman banter off each other for an entire movie.
It's going to be funny.
Like and I'm imagining like at some point, you know, Wolverine, because everyone's like, oh, he's still got long sleeves, though. He's got long sleeves. I imagine at one point he's going to rip off like the sleeves in like a berserker rage. And then it'll be like, you know, that homage to like, oh man, that's exactly what he looks like in the comic books. But yeah, the cowl looks great and it's got the white eyes. So now it's like in your court, James Gunn, Batman. Raven the Bold, he better have the white eyes. Zack Snyder kind of gave it to us in BVS with the white eyes with the armored, but that was the armored Batman.
Mm-hmm.
We need a normal standard suit Batman with white eyes. If freaking you could do it for Wolverine and Deadpool, and I feel like he has to, because it's like that's the only thing that really not only thing. That's one of the main things that still hasn't been done yet in a live action Batman movie.
You don't like the black paint?
So I'm saying, like, I think there's like, 'cause it wouldn't work. It's like, no, like, it's just, you're making a movie about a guy who dresses up as a bat and like beats people. Like, okay, I think we'll all like,
I think we could suspend disbelief.
Yeah, that his eyes, he has white eyes that emote. It's fine. And they do that in Deadpool and it works flawlessly. And now Wolverine.
It looks good. Let's see what it looks like in live action.
Yeah, I know. I love how
curious.
it's going to be so good.
Well, wait. Moving on, I have not seen What If Season 2, but you have.
What If Season 2 is great.
I have not watched it.
It's probably
I watched the first episode, and I did like that.
What was the first one again? Because
The first one was Nebula becomes
Nova Corps.
Yeah, the Nova Corps one.
What if she joined the Nova Corps? That was really cool.
The Blade Runner 2099 or whatever the heck 2049 20.
Yeah.
Am I saying that right?
Blade Runner
2049.
Yeah.
Yeah. Blade Runner 2049. God Almighty, why can't I say that? I thought that was a really cool.
I love the animation style. I just think it's cool how like they're all like kind of anthology style, but then at the end or periodically throughout the season, they kind of weave them together with like they did in the first season with Ultron and stuff like that. And this season they're doing it again, or they did it again with Captain Carter and Kahori and stuff like that. Which that's a big thing. This series gives us the first original MCU superhero. Kahori. So this is the first time Marvel Studios was
original,
we'll create our own superhero for Marvel Studios. There you got like Coulson and other characters that they created, but they weren't superheroes.
Right.
This is the actual first superhero with superpowers. And she's pretty cool. She's like a Mohawk woman, and she's very important in the end, in the finale. You haven't seen it.
I haven't seen it,
so I won't spoil it, but like she's pretty dang powerful. Pretty powerful.
Of course.
She gets her power. I'll say this because it's not spoilers you see in the trailer. She gets her powers from the Tesseract. So her power set is sort of similar to Captain Marvel. So that should tell you she could almost do anything.
Another Captain Marvel.
She's exciting. Way better than Captain Marvel.
I hope.
Way better than Captain Marvel.
Well, that's cool. Because the rest of I don't think there's any reason to get into it, but because Marvel has just been continuing all the rumors and the things that Marvel is doing. Otherwise, it's like things are going good. we're just marching right down the road.
Yeah,
but because like Madam Web, we got Madam Web coming soon.
The movie's not going to do good.
I think it's going to be great. I think that movie looks brilliant.
No one's going to see it.
So good.
I mean, people are going to see it. No one's going to care. I don't know
what you're talking about. Have you heard this rumor, this speculation that in the actual logo of the film, there's Madam Web, you see the Statue of Liberty in the logo, and there's people speculating that this is somehow going to be tied to No Way Home, and that that Madam Web, they're going to use Madam Web to explain the existence of the SnyderVerse and its connection to the World Tree and what we saw them do with Loki, and that the SnyderVerse is a piece. It's just one another kind of multiversal element that's attached and within the World Tree. Have you seen this?
I heard that I've heard not that specific one, but I heard that it was going to set up or be connected to, the larger things with the MCU. But I mean, that would make sense. I mean, because why else make this film, right? Like, it has to be connected to something.
That, I think, is a great question. Why make this film?
No, if it's not doing something like that, it's like, why do it? Because Madam Web is a cool character. She's not selling a book by herself.
No.
Like, you know what I mean? She's always been a character that's really in the background of a Spider-Man story.
Will you be happy if they do that?
If they connect?
What would you take? What would be your take, Arris?
I don't like the Sony Spider-Verse, though. I've been very vocal. I do not like the Venom films. I did not like Morbius. I think Craven is going to fall right in line with Madam Web. It's just Sony is no.
Sony is no.
Sony is no.
Sony is no.
So it's nothing against this specific film. It's just their live actions. Which is really funny because they are doing great with the animated side of Spider-Man, with Across the Spider-Verse. Like, phenomenal. That's arguably like the best Spider-Man films ever made. So it's so funny to see on the live action side, it's the complete and utter opposite.
I don't get it.
It's like the DC thing, right? Where they've been killing it with animation for so many years under, Bruce Timm and Alan Burnett and all those guys, while their live action was not killing it so much. It's like you can't have both. It's like you have to have one or the other. But Madam Web, yeah, it's just.
Would you have? Okay,
Did you hear? This was actually confirmed. This came out that freaking Andrew Garfield was supposed to be mentioned. His version of Spider-Man was supposed to be mentioned in Madam Web, but they took it out.
That's probably for the best.
I like Andrew. I mean,
if we were to go back to Infinity War Endgame years, right? And someone would have said, in just 4 years' time, the superhero, the live action superhero movie genre is going to be in the current state that it's in, where we can't get even one solid movie out of any of these studios. Would you have believed that? After Infinity War specifically. Let's just say Infinity War.
Maybe not as drastic as it is now, but I definitely said, you remember, I was like, they're not replicating this. Like, this is the peak. When we hit Infinity War Endgame, I'm like, there's no way you replicate these 10 years again.
No, you can't replicate it. But did you? Like, I didn't think we did not expect
not as bad.
I was saying I thought MCU was going to like go downhill, but I thought DC was going to try and make a real run at picking up where Marvel falls off.
We're not there yet.
That's not even. We haven't even come close.
Well, what I'm saying is, we're not. His universe hasn't started yet. Superman Legacy, we're waiting for it. So they very well still could. We got to wait for Superman Legacy. That's the start. It's just they're making the stuff now, so we can eventually see it. I just did
not expect this level of catastrophe. Well, so soon after reaching such a peak.
The more interesting thing to me with DC, it's not even bullet point on here. I forgot to put it on here, but it's really funny. Is that DC's copyrights are elapsing in 10 years from now.
Some of them, yes.
Some to the big three, the Trinity.
Right.
The real ones that matter.
Right.
Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman. By 2034, Superman will be public domain. The year after,
because it's 100 years is the rule, right? Yeah.
So, like, you can't go out and do any Batman thing you want, but the original version of Batman, like the Bob Kane, Bill Finger Batman, Detective Comics 27, and those early years Batman, you can do, and even the Joker, you could use the Joker as well. You can literally anyone could make a movie. They'll be like Dracula, Robin Hood, Frankenstein, just public domain. Steamboat Willie right now with Disney. People are making video games and horror films off of Mickey Mouse because that's going to be fascinating. So like anyone can write their own comic book on original Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman, Joker. That's going to be it. But I heard
it's not as cut and dry as that though.
But it's kind of like Dracula and everything else. Everyone uses this just a character now. Like Hercules is just a fictional character.
Oh yeah.
That's essentially
what that's like old.
It is, but I mean, as time goes on, especially once it becomes public domain, that's basically what Batman and all those characters will be. It's like, okay, there's just a character anyone can pull from now.
Yeah. Yes and no. I just because they have such a huge part of their business comes
because they're
from
actively still doing
particularly Batman. I would say Batman and Superman more than any of them.
And Wonder Woman. I mean, that's their three. And Joker. But Joker's
Wonder Woman,
another one.
But Batman specifically, like so much of what they do is Batman centric.
The problem is going to be this is going to happen. I mean, because all these characters, you know, DC's older than Marvel. A lot of their characters are going to be hitting that. So, you know, come 2050, you could do your own Justice League.
Arris is just making notes. He's like, I'm gonna give this a whirl.
You won't do it? I'll do it myself.
Well, we'll see where that goes. But moving on to Star Wars. Star Wars, we had a couple of big announcements. One was the Mandalorian theatrical movie was officially confirmed.
Which is interesting to me because I already told you this. I was like, so how are you going to announce last year that we're getting like, 4 Star Wars movies? You got the Filoni Star Wars movie. You got the Rey Star Wars movie. Was the James Mangold Star Wars movie, which is like an old Jedi movie. And I think there was a 4th one in there. Well, maybe those 3. It was like 3 or 4. Anyway, they announced like 3 to 4 movies last year. Mandalorian and Grogu was not one of those movies. Flash forward 6 or so months. They're like, hey, you know what? Mandalorian and Grogu. Not only that, it's going into production later this year, directed by Jon Favreau, produced by Dave Filoni.
Yeah.
What's going on behind the scenes?
Can I just say that says a lot about what they felt the excitement level was of their previous announcements.
I mean, everyone was excited everyone wants to see it because he was going to do a Mandoverse film. I mean, he's still doing a Mandoverse film. So everyone is excited for that. And the rumors that he was going to put Luke in there. So like everyone was going to be in that movie is rumors. We don't know for sure, but he was going to put like, you know, Ahsoka in there, Luke in there, Mando. So I wonder if this Favreau film will, since now it's coming out, I guess, before all those, is going to tie into Filoni's because Filoni's producing this one. And Favreau and Filoni are the guys who built out the Mandoverse.
Maybe it was just the next evolution of the things they were going to announce. Who knows? But I personally did not see this overwhelming amount of excitement for any of their announcements.
Because we even got a teaser image. They didn't announce any. They didn't even show us any like concept art or teaser imagery for any of the other films.
No.
This one, they actually gave us like Grogu and Mando, like, jumping out of like a crashed ship or something like that.
Jon Favreau tends to keep things really close to the chest. So he likes to do that. So that's not super shocking. He just may have wanted to wait until he was further along. Because
Possibly.
that's his baby.
He literally created them, yeah.
Mm-hmm. So, whatever. But I don't know. I feel like just like with Marvel, I think they've done such damage to their brand. I think that they have a real excitement problem amongst fans, largely speaking, and getting a huge swath of their fan base going when they announce stuff. Like one of the big announcements they made was the Star Wars, the new Jedi Order, the next Rey movie.
Yeah. With
the director, what's her name? Sharmeen Obaid-Chinoy.
Yeah.
And, she's out there over December making friends all over the world, getting herself, making comments that it just kind of further get people to go, all right, that sounds like more of the same.
Yeah. Well, there's rumors that the Rey movie is going to be delayed because of this Mando Grogu movie.
It should be scrapped.
You don't want to see that movie?
Stop. Just stop. We do not have to continue this Skywalker thing. Just stop. Go a different direction. But I've said a million times, they are not going to do that. They're just going to keep going. And sadly, I hope that they don't bury these franchises before it's over.
Patty Jenkins' Star Wars film went away.
Yeah, and I wonder why.
But I
really would love to know why that got scrapped.
Creative differences is always what they cite, but that means nothing.
But I would really love to know really why.
You think she wanted to do something?
I don't know. That's not any kind of. I have no idea. I would just love to know.
I feel like she probably had something that was cool, but it didn't align with what they want. You know what I mean? Because it's like, why else? Because like, I don't know. It just seemed like that was the perfect storm for them. You have like this like A-list female director doing this. Like,
and now they're touting Chinoy, Obaid-Chinoy as the first female director for a Star Wars movie. It was like, did everyone forget about Patty Jenkins? But it didn't happen.
She never made the film, as a thing.
But her movie hasn't happened yet either.
No, but if it does, she will be.
And also, it's kind of a slap. I felt like it was that whole thing. It's a little bit of a slap in the face, especially because of the comments that Chinoy has made to like people like Deborah Chow, who has done an incredible job.
She did some of the best episodes for Star Wars.
The Mandalorian and with Ahsoka. But there's been several female directors that took on episodes of, Obi-Wan Kenobi, Ahsoka, Mandalorian.
They're not theatrical releases.
Yeah, and I'm just like, dude, that's like kind of a... All right.
Yeah.
I mean, I get that they always feel like they have to spin it with something. First this, the first that.
Deborah Chow was given, what is it? Obi-Wan. That was her baby.
Deborah Chow?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, she oversaw that. I mean, which... we know.
Wait, who directed Ahsoka? No. I had it flipped.
Filoni
Deborah Chow did Obi-Wan.
Yeah. Filoni is
multiple
Ahsoka.
Female directors did episodes in Ahsoka.
Yeah, he just oversaw all of it. He was like
Filoni directed a couple, and then there was several different directors in it. But
either way,
3 of them I think were female.
She's directed some of the best Mandalorian episodes, and yeah.
And don't get me wrong, I thought Obi-Wan just as a series, I just thought was a train wreck.
Yeah,
but she does a good job.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, so we'll see where that goes. But the Bad Batch season 3 trailer hit, and it looks awesome.
Spoilers for this trailer if you haven't seen it already, but there's the biggest thing of this trailer needs to be said. Asajj Ventress has returned.
Yeah, they reveal her at the end of the trailer.
I hope okay. All right. Asajj Ventress is one of my favorite Star Wars characters. Her whole arc is cool. Like, cause she was supposed to be like, she couldn't be an apprentice to Dooku, right? Mm-hmm. So she was his assassin.
Right.
Palpatine would not allow it. And we even see it in Clone Wars. Palpatine's like, yeah, you gotta kill her. And that's how she had a falling out with Dooku and all that stuff. But she's had one of the coolest arcs because she's always teetered like between, Sith, bad, and like good Jedi. She's helped Anakin and Obi-Wan out several times. She's worked with Ahsoka. So like all this cool stuff. But in the Dark Disciple novel, she started to fall in love with the Jedi Quinlan Vos, right? And they're like, hey, we got to take out Dooku. But the only way you can take out Dooku is if you learn my Sith ways because you need the Sith powers and stuff so we can team up and take out Dooku. In that process of training him, she fell in love with him. Long story short, They battle Dooku, but during that, Dooku uses his Force lightning or whatever to kill Voss. She jumps to block it because she's in love with him now, and she gets killed. And that's how she's dead, right? So she died off screen. She died in a novel that was tied into Star Wars canon.
She's dead.
She's dead.
Oh my God.
But that's I only say all this because that's the craziest thing about this trailer. Because when I was watching it the first time, I'm like, I heard her voice. I'm like, he brought her back because she's dead. They killed her.
That's not the craziest thing.
That's not the craziest thing.
Mm-mm.
So she's back. And now we see at the end of the trailer, not only is she back, she has a yellow lightsaber, alluding that she is now on the light side of the Force, potentially a Jedi now, no longer a Sith, which makes sense because she literally sacrificed herself for Quinlan Voss, who was a Jedi, to kill Dooku.
Still not the most shocking part.
Still not the most shocking part. What's the most shocking part, Tim?
She has hair.
She does have a cool haircut. But yeah, she's back now somehow. Filoni, hopefully, what I would love for them to do is if Filoni, because we know how it happened. You know, I just went over it. It happened in that novel. But if Filoni like shot that in a flashback, so we could see it happen in Clone Wars animation style, like a brief flashback, and then they explain like how she lived from that. Like, oh, you thought she died, but like she did it. Now she's back. And she's helping the Bad Batch. So we get to see. So in this season, from this trailer alone, we get the Bad Batch, we get the Emperor, we get Rex, freaking Captain Rex, the best clone, Anakin's, 501st, and Asajj Ventress. And that's just the first trailer. That is just what they're showing us. Because it's the final season too. So Filoni's pulling out all the stomps.
It looks like they're. It looks like a final season trailer. Like it's very action packed.
I'm trying not to get
like
my
they're
hopes
put
up.
a lot into it. I love the Bad Batch just as a series. I know you love it even more than I do.
Yeah. Star Wars animation, that Filoni Rebels, Clone Wars, that's like
really good.
Probably my favorite Star Wars, and I know a lot of people would agree with me.
I don't know if it's my favorite Star Wars, but it's definitely some of the best Star Wars for sure.
Oh yeah. So, but like going off that too. We know Clone Wars Season 7, that was the finale when they brought that back and they ended it. Like they went out with, because those last 4 movies with Ahsoka and Darth Maul, that was basically just a movie.
Yep.
They just broke it up. That was like a movie. So good. Ended with Vader, all that stuff, finding, Ahsoka sabers. But like, what is he going to do to bookend this now? How is he going to bookend the Bad Batch? Because
I'm very curious to see, does this set something else up? Where
only
where
3
does it go?
seasons.
I
That's
know,
like
3 seasons. But I kind of like that because I like it when a filmmaker and a storyteller knows exactly the story they want to tell. They know the beginning and they know the end, and they know what's generally going to be that transition in the middle, and they do not overstay their welcome. They don't try to milk it, especially once it's successful. They tell the story they intended to tell, and that's it. So I kind of love that they're ending it with season 3.
Yeah.
So I feel like for me, even though I love the series, I kind of feel like it's the perfect amount.
It's the shortest one though, too, right? Because you had freaking Clone Wars go for 7 seasons, right? It went 6, and they came back and did a final 7th. Yep. You had Rebels, I believe it was 4 or 5 seasons. No. How many seasons?
Rebels was 5, I believe.
5? It was, I don't know. It was a lot of seasons. Rebels was very long. And this would be the shortest one. So
I'm good with it. I really like that they're going to bring it to an end with something. I'm trying to find it right now, actually. I really like that they're bringing it to an end with a climactic, a really climactic end. And they're introducing a lot.
Rebels was 4 seasons.
4 seasons? Okay.
Okay, so this has got 1 less season. Okay, so I mean, Rebels was
perfect.
Rebels was fantastic as well. Yeah, no, I agree that I'd rather them not milk it. I just hope he's setting something else up, because Tales of the Jedi is also Star Wars animation in the same style and, universe, if you will. And we're getting a season 2 this year, but they're really short. They're like anywhere from 7 to 15-minute long episodes.
I still haven't seen it.
They're so good. And they explain, he went back and told you like how Dooku became a Jedi, like how he was trained, who his master was, all that stuff. You see Ahsoka when she was a baby, how she was able to survive those clone attack in the season 7 finale. Like you see how she was able to survive that.
They did a reenactment of that Muppet Babies episode where they all become like Star Wars characters.
What are you talking about?
Like Kermit becomes Han Solo. And Piggy
I see.
becomes. Did they do that?
Are you making fun of Filoni?
No.
But no, you need to watch that. And it's not that, I mean, it's pretty short because they're all like, again, 7 to 15-minute long episodes.
I do have to watch that.
I hope they do a Tales of the Sith.
So many of these things that I have to make a list.
I actually watched it twice because my daughter loves Ahsoka. So I watched that again with her. So good.
I'll put it a notch above Rebel Moon. Like a notch above Rebel Moon.
Tales of the Jedi is phenomenal.
I mean, in the pecking order, like the watch list.
That needs to be high priority.
I'm gonna put that.
High priority.
I'm just going to keep pushing Rebel Moon down further and further.
But anyway, it comes out February 21st, and they're going to be premiering with the first 3 episodes.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Season 3 episodes.
So, I mean, they did that.
That's clever. I'm most excited about Bad Batch Season 3 of everything that we know that's happening with Star Wars, because I think the Acolyte is likely, although it was a cool idea, I think that likely is going to be a train wreck. I loved Season 1 of Andor. We don't know when we're getting Season 2, but
still rumored we might get it this end of this year.
Yeah. I didn't know that they were making a Season 2 of that, but I am looking forward to that one.
And the Skeleton Crew, Jude Law.
Oh, yeah. Skeleton Crew. I'm not sure about that one.
The Star Wars fandom is really interesting because I feel like we're getting a lot of good stuff while simultaneously getting a lot of not good stuff. You know what I mean? Because look, Ahsoka was good. I really enjoyed
Ahsoka was good, yes.
Bad Batch
It wasn't as good as it could have been, but it was good.
Bad Batch is always good. Every single season thus
Bad
far.
Batch is good.
Tales of the Jedi. And then you get stuff like Mando Season 3 and Obi-Wan. But it's like 50-50. It's very 50-50. It seems like half of the stuff they put out every year is good and the other half is like,
That's probably true. 50-50 is probably fair.
Yeah.
You know, but it seems overwhelmed more so by the news of what they're doing.
Yes.
Where things are going.
Not the actual content
and
that we're receiving.
And then when you see even the stuff that you were really enjoying, like The Mandalorian, go wildly off the rails in Season 3.
Do you think the movie's an apology?
Man, I hope so.
Because also,
I hope so.
And also, I think a lot of people are saying that, does that mean we're not getting Mando Season 4? That does not mean that. We are still getting Mando Season 4 on top of this feature film. So
supposedly.
Yeah, things can change.
Yeah. I don't know. It's just all very much up in the air. And we'll have to see how it goes. But I am definitely excited for Bad Batch Season 3. I'm probably most excited about that. And then the second after that I'm excited about Star Wars related would be Andor Season 2.
Yeah.
Andor
is pretty good.
Yeah. I'm excited about the Mandalorian movie, but Season 3 of the Mandalorian made it towards like, you're going to have to show me now.
The good thing about the Mandalorian movie is it's literally the movie's called Mandalorian and Grogu. So the thing with Season 3, a lot of people didn't like is it didn't follow Mando that much, or did a lot of stupid side missions and weird things.
And I think the other thing that's bugging me is I'm trying to wrap my head around, where are you going to go with that in a movie?
Mandalorian and Grogu?
Yeah.
Oh man.
After Season 3, like where are you going to go with that? To where that's going to be a standalone feature film.
I would imagine it's probably going to establish Grogu becoming a Jedi Mandalorian.
I guess.
And then that'll go straight into the
why
Season 4.
Why pull that out of the series unless you tend to go a very different direction with the series?
Epic.
Which is definitely possible after Season 3. Anyway.
Or is it going to be Pedro Pascal's exit?
Could be. That's kind of what I'm hitting at here.
Maybe they want to go out with a bang with the film.
Yeah. Maybe this is like.
But at the same time, how are you going to get rid of your most popular character in Star Wars right now?
Come on. Are you really asking that question?
Like Mando, like obvious.
Like they would never do such a thing.
Now, I'm not saying Mando and Grogu is like, Darth Vader, Luke Skywalker status. But as far as current Star Wars go, like active Star Wars, Mando and Grogu are the things that's like basically holding up current Star Wars right now.
How do you get Luke Skywalker to throw his lightsaber over his shoulder, call it a laser sword, and become a hermit on an island?
How dumb would it be to get rid of the Mandalorian when he's literally like that show? Not only did that show kick off Disney Originals for Disney Plus, it literally brought the fandom back to Star Wars after the sequel trilogy. Like Mandalorian single-handedly saved Star Wars, Disney Star Wars.
But would that go high on? Would that like really be shocking compared to some of these other things that they've done?
Pedro Pascal is really busy. He is.
His schedule.
No, he is. Schedule. He's doing. I mean, he's freaking Joel from The Last of Us. He's Reed Richards now. Yeah. You hear he just had to drop out of a movie to continue to be Reed Richards for the MCU. That was the thing. He's Mando. He's just everything.
Do we have confirmation on the Fantastic Four lineup?
No, apparently he's the only one who's like locked. everyone, all the other ones are.
They
like
officially confirmed that he's locked as Reed Richards? Because I did not see that.
It's not one of those things where I think Disney came out, but it's like.
So that's what I wait for is the official casting.
Yeah, I mean, but if you go on IMDb and all that stuff, he's there.
He's on the Fantastic Four.
But again, that means they've put stuff like that all the time. It's just one of those things where every outlet goes like, if Hollywood Reporter, Variety, and all these massive news people are saying it, everyone's just like, yeah, he's it. Until someone says otherwise.
Man, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Well, one of the things that we are going to be doing here coming up, because one of the things we were going to do today, we're going to push to the next episode. But next episode, we're going to have Tom. Comic Tom is going to be back with us with the Hot 5, the first Hot 5 of the year.
How hot is it?
It's going to be En Fuego.
En Fuego?
En Fuego.
Is it Hellfire?
It's, yeah, Hellfire Gala.
Okay.
Yeah, it's going to be a Hellfire Gala. So we're going to have the first Hot 5 of the year with Tom, and then we'll have him stick around to talk.
There's a Roadhouse remake?
Oh, yeah.
With Jake Gyllenhaal?
With Jake Gyllenhaal.
Or Gyllenhaal, how he actually pronounces it.
Yeah, you can lock him.
Yeah, that's... Roadhouse? What?
Yeah, that's the picture
that's crazy.
Him going into the UFC ring. Was for Roadhouse.
No, it wasn't.
Yes, it was.
I thought he was doing a UFC movie.
No, I don't know, maybe, but he plays his character. They changed up the Roadhouse story to where that character is a former UFC player or fighter.
So that's what he was filming at the beginning of 2023.
Yeah,
interesting.
Yeah, he's all torn up. So we're gonna have Tom on. We'll do the first Hot 5 of the year, and then we will also talk about the kind of scandal around the CGC books, the fraudulent books.
Oh my God,
the fraudulent slabs and all that kind of stuff. So we'll talk to Tom about that. That happened and what they're doing.
The 9/9 pre-screens.
Yeah, the 9/9 pre-screens, which is kind of crazy.
The collector market is in an uproar right now.
Yeah, it's kind of a hot mess.
There's a Lord of the Rings animated film.
You're getting ahead of things. And then we're going to talk about we're going to do a buy or sell on the movies of 2024. That's what he's looking at. He's looking at the list I have here.
There's a Mufasa Lion King movie?
There is a Mufasa Lion King
live action
movie. Yeah. All right. Well, I think that does it for today. We've rambled long enough for
There's
our first
a Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes movie, a new one?
I can see where this is going.
There's a Madam Web film. Madam Web, like of the SnyderVerse.
So that does it for this episode of Overrated the podcast. We'll see you guys next time.
Is that
when we talk about whatever we feel like.
Frozen Empire.
Peace out.